This is Nathan Fitch, Crash Landing on the Moon Tower podcast. 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Welcome, folks, to the first video recording of the Moon Tower podcast.
Whoa.
I'm Ian Hubbard. That's Nate Fitch, in case you hadn't noticed by now.
Hey.
Welcome to the studio, which looks like a room I think we broke into.
Yep. I know I did.
Yeah. You broke into it and you started paying for it.
Yep. That's how they get you.
Yeah, it's just like, sorry, I broke the door down. But, no, we decided it's about time to start doing some video for the show. Get some more people, some more foot traffic, people watching. Apparently people like to watch podcasts instead of just listening to them.
Who'd have thunk it?
I know. We got us a nice little two-shot setup with Nate in the foreground and me back here with half my face covered by the glorious microphone.
Enjoy us while we're in the shot.
Yes. So,
Here's my cat.
which cat is that?
It's Kit Kat.
That's Kit Kat. I keep getting them mixed up. Little cameo.
Yep, she's a tiny one.
Impromptu cameo. So, well, last week we talked about media bias. We talked about propaganda. We talked about TV shows when we were kids. You looking for a job.
Yep.
Whole bunch of stuff. So, I realized a fan of ours on the Facebooks commented saying we haven't really done a whole lot of Halloween stuff this month, which
no, that is true.
I hate to admit, October being probably my proclaimed favorite month of the year.
Oh yeah, it's an ultimate month. I mean, if I can ever enjoy a September again, then that's usually my favorite month. But,
I'm just gonna wake up. But they said, yeah, we haven't done any Halloween stuff, and once again I hate to admit that I didn't really realize it was the end of the damn month.
Yeah, dude. It's like 26th today?
Today's 25th.
Okay, yeah.
25th. So we got 6 more days to cram in actually this one episode.
Yeah.
6 more days left in the month, but
oh shit, I got like 6 days to make a Halloween apparatus.
Oh. Sexually?
Maybe.
Big pumpkin with a giant
It'll be a sexy pumpkin with a giant dong.
sex pumpkin.
Yep.
Is there a hole cut in the back?
Yeah, there's 2. For fun.
No, there's actually 3. 2 of them are a little bit lower than the first one. But, yeah, we haven't really done a whole lot of Halloween stuff, so let's talk about scary movies.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't really watched any this month. I'm kind of disappointed. I watched.
Yeah, dude.
I got in my Manhunter fix.
Okay. Hell yeah.
I watched that with the lady friend. We both enjoyed it. Manhunter, if you don't know, 1986, Michael Mann has William Peterson playing the Will Graham character. It's the prequel to Silence of the Lambs.
Okay. Oh yeah. I know you're talking about.
Because it came out 4 years before Silence of the Lambs. Brian Cox, who plays, he plays the psychological mediator in Zodiac. He plays the sergeant in Super Troopers.
Okay.
He plays Hannibal Lecter. And for my money, I prefer him over Anthony Hopkins. I hate to admit it. Actually, no, I don't hate to admit it.
Anthony Hopkins has his place, but I can see that guy doing a good job.
Yeah, and I realized when it comes to scary movies, I prefer thrillers.
Yeah.
Over,
definitely.
Over straight up horror.
Or slashers or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, the slasher movies, that's...
Yeah, they got their niche.
Those are fun.
Yeah, and older zombie flicks I enjoy.
Because there's stuff like that, it's pretty fun to see how people get killed in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Rolling Stone, their website, put together, this is 6-7 years ago, a compilation of all of the deaths in the Friday the 13th movies. All of them, including the quote-unquote reboots and Freddy vs. Jason, all that shit, but
yeah,
all of them from the original through the sequels to the reboots and shit, and I had to turn it off because the sound effects started grossing me out.
Yeah,
like the
like the early '90s style of just all the jam
jelly noises and all that shit.
Breaking chicken bones. And,
Yeah, like.
yeah.
Yep.
One of my favorite ones, I think he throws a handicap a dude in a wheelchair down a flight of stairs and electrocutes him or some shit. I think it was like the fourth or fifth one. Yeah, it was bad. But I realized like I prefer like thrillers, like something like Manhunter or Seven.
Yeah, yeah.
Or Angel Heart. That's one of my personal favorites, is Angel Heart.
Yeah. How do you feel about Jacob's Ladder? I've been trying to see that one for a minute.
Honestly, I've never seen it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
It's on the long Dick Long list of movies I still haven't seen.
Fair enough.
But I heard it's a mind fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty much.
It's like what is it? The game Silent Hill 2 is like heavily inspired by that one.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that game a lot.
I heard.
So, yeah.
See, like the horror video games like Doom, Silent Hill. What's the
Resident
big
Evil?
one? Resident Evil.
Yeah.
All that stuff I never got.
No, it brought over the new Resident Evil 2 that one time. That was pretty cool.
I never got into that stuff. Well, I was never a big video gamer to begin with.
Yeah.
My video games were pretty simple. It was like football games, like IndyCar racing, Ken Griffey baseball, which I'm kind of dating myself because that's the N64, GoldenEye, fucking Sarge's Heroes, the Army Men game.
Yeah,
that was my jam.
Yeah.
And then when we got PlayStation, my brother took it over and it was basically Dave Mirra and Tony Hawk, like the BMX skateboarding games.
Yeah.
All about that stuff. So like the horror movie video games, I never got into. I've seen people play them. Like I've seen people play Resident Evil and I've seen people play Doom and whatnot. I just never went through the levels myself. I guess the closest thing I got to was going through House of the Dead.
Oh, dude, those games are fucking sweet.
Yeah, we went through the first three. Me and my old friend Scott Dow.
What is it? The one on the Wii, like the Overdose or whatever. That one is just ridiculous.
Yes,
it's fucking ridiculous. It's like a Rob Zombie film that's like a playable shooter. God, it's good.
We went through the third one on the Wii and we took all night because we went through the entire game.
Yeah.
And it was fun as hell. We had a blast. Well, yeah, like the horror movie games, I never got into. Those, and it was just one of those things I just didn't do.
Yeah, that's like the cool thing about nowadays. You just like go on YouTube and watch like anybody play those games. So I never like enjoy playing like horror games. I'm like way too anxious. Like the last one I played was Amnesia: The Dark Descent. That's a good like atmospheric game. Like you literally can't like fight any of the monsters or whatever. You have to hide.
Really?
And like lights, like big like I guess like feature. Because, like, if you're, like, in, like, darkness for too long, you start get like, visual distortions, like, you're, like, tripping out or whatever, because you're, like, so fucking, like, scared or whatever, like, your character in-game.
Really?
So, like, yeah, so it kind of fucks with you.
What you said about, like, watching people play those games.
Yeah.
Or just video games in general. I work better as a spectator.
Yeah, no, I feel you on a lot of that.
Like, when, it's not a horror movie game, but a couple friends were like big into Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And I always enjoyed watching people play Call of Duty instead of playing Call of Duty. Because my thing with Call of Duty was, okay, which gun shoots the most the fastest?
Yeah.
And getting killed 25 times in a round and getting 6 kills, but
yeah, no, I was never good at those like competitive shooters. Like I'll play them every once in a while, just like shits and giggles. Like I still play Apex Legends from time to time. That's kind of like same vein. Like I don't know, more battle royale, I guess.
I will say the updated Mario Kart stuff.
Yeah, no, Mario Kart is always fun.
Like the newest versions of it with like the tripped out levels. The neighbor, his boyfriend Matt brought that up.
Okay.
Several months ago, and it was actually the last time I saw him before he moved to Nowlands, and we were having a bitchin' time playing that. Like I came in, it was during one of my improv classes, and I came back, and they were playing it, and I stopped over, and it was actually wicked fun.
I want to say Parker had the newest, or maybe like the second newest one.
Yes.
Yeah, we were playing it over there. It wasn't
last Thanksgiving, wasn't it?
Might have been Thanksgiving. Might have been when we had that little get together, like in May. I want to say.
It was one of the two.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we made those chickens or whatever, and then we had that sous vide steak that we are experimenting with. So we're trying to like use the blowtorch to sear it.
No, that's true. That was
Yeah.
that was that was this past summer.
Yep.
No, it was basically that game.
Okay.
But the screen that the neighbor had it on was
Yeah, he had that
huge.
projector.
Yeah, the
set
projector
up.
on the
Yeah,
wall.
that
it
was pretty
bitching.
sweet. Yeah, dude.
So like we're all like ripped and talking shit and
Oh, yeah,
playing that.
as
It
you
was,
do.
Oh yeah, you have to. Dude, I have to say, like, with Mario Kart in general, like with all the versions, there has to have been so much shit talk with people playing that.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, especially the one on the Nintendo 64. Because I just remember like like in my early days of like getting like hammered with my friends, like they would always be like in proper rotation. You'd have Mario Kart like at least every other time we were like playing that, getting shit faced.
Oh, dude, like I remember when I was a kid, me and my brother would have competitions with Mario Kart and GoldenEye.
Yeah.
On this because we had Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo and then the 64, and just shit talking mad.
Yeah.
Like
Because you had the battle maps on 64, so like that was always fun.
Yeah.
Especially if you had like three other people to play with, I guess.
When you have like the 4-player and the screen split 4 ways, dude, I'm not gonna lie, I straight cheat.
That's like part of like the A game right there, man.
Just straight up like looking at everyone else's screen and like eyeing mine. It was great. It was so good. But anyway, back to the Halloween fun.
Yes.
Halloween fun time. I've been kind of dabbling with the idea of, how's it pronounced, Samhain?
Yeah.
Or Sam Hain for the American talk. It's the old Gaelic, like it's basically like the Gaelic version of Dia de los Muertos,
Okay.
the Day of the Dead.
Like sometimes they call it All Saints Day or
All
something.
Saints Day. Yeah. They referenced it in the second Halloween movie, the first sequel in 1981. Because the whole I skimmed the Wikipedia page, which means I'm very well educated on the topic. If anyone has any pointers they want filled out,
Thanks, Wikipedia.
yeah, thank you. Oh, by the way, real quick, can we just say hi to Mark Zuckerberg and the NSA? Hi guys, thanks for producing the show. Anyway, apparently it's all about like letting the spirits loose.
Yeah.
Of wreaking havoc upon the living, or the living coming to terms and embracing the eternal spirits. Because I didn't know this, that was the original idea behind Halloween, the movie. The original movie was, the idea that evil never dies. It's always lurking. It's always there, especially around this time of the year. The whole thing with the solstice, turning of the seasons, that whole thing. I'm pretty sure I'm missing about 1,000 other points. So
resurrection in general, I guess. I mean, that's like the whole zombie thing. So
yeah.
So that's a lot of reflective themes that go along with the whole Halloween thing and resurrection. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's a moot point. Yeah.
No, I think it's a very good point, like especially with like the first Halloween movie, because that's one of those ones, for instance, where it's a dead-on classic. You can't deny it.
Oh yeah.
You can, but you watch it now and people watch the original now and they're like, it's long, it's boring, and there's nothing happening. I'm like,
yeah.
Do you not get the sense of dread that movie has? Because like,
yeah, you kind of have to like knock down your expectations like down to like 1980s level.
I wouldn't even say knock
but
down.
It's like not even like just like take it less seriously, I guess.
I would disagree with both of those points, because I don't think you should knock down your expectation to see anything, to see any movie, and in general. But with something like, for instance, the original Halloween, where it takes a while to build. There's that sense of mood and atmosphere, but I think what you should do is garner a level of patience, because you're not going to see gut splattered and torture and Saw hostile kind of shit, but just the way like the pacing of the movie is very Hitchcockian, where it's very timed out. It's it's slow moving, but I think the sense of of atmosphere that movie has. You know, using the city of Haddonfield as a separate character. You know, that sort of embraces Michael Myers. I thought.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
And it's something that I think the sequels and even the Rob Zombie reboots.
I didn't mind the first one.
You know what, actually.
I like a good origin story. So.
Well,
you know.
the thing with the expectation thing that you just mentioned was, you know, I was wicked excited when that happened, to see that he was, because it was right off the cusp of House of 1,000 Corpses and Devil's Rejects,
Yeah.
which I love, and I'll get to that in a minute, because I did see 3 from Hell the other night.
Oh, hell yeah!
So if anything, I'll give a review about that. And I was wicked excited. Like when I saw he was rebooting Halloween, I'm like, oh yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Because he's a big horror enthusiast. He's a dork.
Oh, dude,
He's a big nerd.
Totally.
Like, and I love that. I love that about him. He's a giant nerd. You know, in my sense, you know, like movies and music and shit, TV or whatever. You know, like the audiovisual, not necessarily, you know, the comics. Although I'm sure probably has a few comic books in his collection.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I was wicked excited, and then I didn't see it when it was in theaters, and then it was right after it came out on DVD, and that was like early Netflix when when Netflix only gave out DVDs. There was no streaming.
Dude, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was like a digital library.
Yeah, dude, I used to like why is there so many like DVD services like mail? Like I think Blockbuster had their own too.
Blockbuster did. I remember Hollywood Video, which was the video store in Lima when I was a kid or a teenager. Because when I was a kid, it was Dave's Video. It was just straight up. That's all they had was VHS.
Yeah, I used to go to Video Connection in Genoa. That was like the weekly like thing. Like after like like a week of school, we go there like run like a movie or a video game or something, and it was magic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking yeah, Dave's Video in Northland and Lima. It was there. It was right on the corner. I think there's like a St. Rita's Medical Center or something. It's in the strip mall where the old bowling alley and the haircutting place is. It's where Ray's Supermarket was. I think it's Chiefs now.
Okay.
But it was this place. It was Dave's. Dude, it just smelled like a doctor's office. I remember that. And like you have like the VHS fucking
racks.
Yeah, the racks, but it had the tape behind the cover.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
It was so funny. Like I will never forget that, because we'd always get like Monster Squad, which is like a mid '80s send up of, you know, the Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, Creature of the Black Lagoon. It's basically like Goonies meets old horror movies, like the Universal
monster team up.
Yeah, the old Universal monster movies plus Goonies. That's all it was. And we'd get like what's fucking Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Lost Boys.
Yeah, same.
Oh yeah.
My dad used to get us the Ernest movies all the time. That was like
watch that shit.
That was like a Sunday thing. Like
hell yeah.
Get like fucking Ernest.
That's some Midwest shit right there. The fucking Ernest movies.
Yeah, dude. Vern.
God bless Jim Varney.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But,
back memories.
Well, yeah, we'd get like around Halloween time, we'd get all those movies and just binge watch them. Stay up all weekend. Just sit there in front of my TV and just watch them. And I've talked about this before. I think I talked about this last year when AMC first started doing like their monster or like just like their horror movie 24-hour festival thing.
Yeah.
When they first started that, I forget like the actual name of the show. I do remember Bruce Campbell was like a host one night, and then Whoopi Goldberg was a host the next night, and somebody else, Jodie Foster, whoever. But like, they would just show old horror movies like from like the 40s and 50s, like through the 70s and 80s and stuff. You know, they'd save like the harder stuff for later in the night, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Fucking. They had like some of the
Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead. Like they had, if I remember correctly, they showed some of like the Roger Corman Frankenstein horror movies, or like the Vincent Price, like Pit and the Pendulum, like the Edgar Allan Poe adaptations that he did. They'd have that shit, you know, on top of like, Frankenstein, Wolfman, the Mummy, Creature of the Black Lagoon, Son of Frankenstein, the Creature of the Black Lagoon Part 2, The Blob, them, all the way like Phantom of the Opera, whichever. Like I think they showed like some of the old silent movies too, like Nosferatu and Phantom of the Opera and shit. And it was just on a loop. And every once in a while they come in, have the host just like some goofy Rod Serling kind of interlude, kind of thing, and then just get right back to the movie. Serpent and the Rainbow,
Ooh.
Wes Craven.
Okay.
I think Angel Heart. I know Angel Heart wasn't on there. Serpent and the Rainbow was. I know that for sure. Like the Halloween, and they had, I think, what was it? It wasn't Assault on Precinct 13. It was something else. Whatever. But the litany, like it was like going into the library and just raiding the collection and just showing it, and it was awesome. It was awesome. And then for some reason they decided sometime down the line, hey, we're just going to show all of the Halloween sequels, or the Friday the 13th sequels, like the shitty ones too, and like have them on repeat, and it just lost its luster. But anyway, back to
topic at hand.
Yes, when Rob Zombie's Halloween reboot came out, I was wicked excited for it, because I'm like, all right, this is gonna be different. Like we'll see what happens.
It's Rob Zombie and Halloween. How can you go wrong?
And then I watched it. It was with my friend Don and his girlfriend at the time. We got that on DVD, and I was highly disappointed. It was one of those ones where I was like, I didn't really. There's a difference between excitement and expectation. I didn't really have any expectation. I just thought it was gonna be really cool, and I was like, come on, man. Oh, well, and that's the thing, like what you said about the origin story. I get that.
Yeah, I can see why people would be disappointed in it, though.
A good origin story is pretty cool. It's not
like exactly like reminiscent of like the original.
Well, my thing was, that's the reason Michael Myers worked in the first place, like with the original Halloween.
It was just like kind of like this masked evil, and you didn't know where the hell he came from, and that sense of not knowing, like that. Yeah, that just definitely adds to the atmosphere.
Exactly, like what you know about him outside of the fact that he killed his sister and he spent 15 years in a mental asylum and escaped, and
it's
it's
like
coming back.
A lot of the stuff that you're hearing about is like hearsay, so it's like like folklore almost.
And it's all through the Dr. Loomis's Donald Pleasance character. It's all through his retelling of what he saw and what he thought when he treated Michael in the insane asylum. And that's all you got from it. It was great. I mean, that's the reason Jaws works. You only hear about the shark, and then you see the shark, and then you're like, oh shit, oh fuck.
I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, I was not a fan. I tried to watch the second one. I'm like, it's better than the original second one.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one, so I don't know. That might be something worth watching. I mean, for the season anyway. So
it's like I said, I will say it's better than the original second one.
Okay.
But it's still I thought it was disappointing.
Yeah.
But I will say this: I did see 3 from Hell the other night.
Yeah.
And that was on the flip side. I thought that was going to be a giant turd. When I saw that was happening, I'm like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Dude, what are you doing? Thoroughly enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised by it, because it takes the path that you would assume it's going to take. Mm-hmm. I'm trying not to give away any spoilers, just in case, because I don't know if you have any interest in seeing it, or if anyone out there has any interest in seeing it.
Remember, folks, we have respect for your desire to watch things first time through. Yeah. Smooth.
Man, you were one suave fuck, Ben, I swear.
I try.
But like they end up surviving. They're in intensive care for X amount of time. But like the first part of it is told through like newspaper clippings, and like the news gets a hold of it, and they become these big stars. It's very Natural Born Killers in a way. Okay. Where because of their crimes they end up being celebrities.
Yeah, it has that like air of ridiculousness.
Dude, straight up, like straight up.
Yeah.
But he owned, like, Rob Zombie owned it. He owned up to all of it, like all the shtick about it. And he was just like, it was probably the most fun like straight up fun out of the three, because it's like, let's just have some fun. Like literally, just let's have some fun with this one, see where it goes.
Yeah, no, I feel like that'd be the best way to do it. Like after like kind of being on the back burner for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it almost broke my theory. I have this theory with sequels that any sequel past 8 years from the first installment or the latest installment is going to be bad. And what I base that off of is Terminator 2. Terminator 2 was 7 to 8 years after the original Terminator.
Yeah.
And it's
fantastic.
fucking Terminator 2. I mean, with all the plot holes and everything, it still holds up. Yeah. Like, the special effects are still fucking amazing. You can't.
No, it's an entertaining fucking flick. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Once again, that's something and that's one of the ones I grew up with too. Like, I fucking.
Dude, same,
especially during my Arnold phase. Like, I said this before, Schwarzenegger was probably the first big word I ever learned how to spell.
Yeah.
And I went through an Arnold phase hardcore, like not even like trying to bodybuild or any of that shit, just watching all those fucking movies, dude.
I watch this movie all the time. Like Last Action Hero, fucking that. Fucking Commando, like shit.
Last Action Hero, Commando, fucking Total
I didn't see
Recall.
Predator until like I was like close to like 10, 11 or whatever. But like that was still a fucking awesome movie when I saw that.
Dude, from the ages of like 9 to 12, it was probably 13. I was all about the Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, dude.
You know, I obviously had RoboCop, which is still my thing, and Die Hard and all that shit, but it was all about the Schwartz.
Oh, dude, me and my dad used to watch the RoboCop serialized TV show.
Oh man.
Yeah, man.
Man, I tried. There just wasn't enough blood.
I didn't know any better. I was like fucking 4 years old at the point. So like shit. It was like I just knew it was RoboCop and So I was get his like 4-year-old could be.
Dude, it was awesome, bro. Like right after my birthday, this past May, the lady friend was like, "Hey, let me make you dinner and we'll watch RoboCop," because she had never seen it. I'm like,
fuck yeah.
Straight up had like a kid boner. I'm like, "You want to watch RoboCop?" Yeah. And then right before we put it on, I just looked at her. I'm like, "All right, just remember this. My parents let me watch this when I was 8. Keep that in mind." So like when Alex Murphy gets blown to shit, I looked at her. I'm just like, 8 years old. She's like, 8-year-olds, dude. I'm like, pretty much. I remember I texted my brother that. I'm like, "Oh, I should fucking watch RoboCop." And he's like, "Yeah, dude. If she hasn't noticed, you're fucked in the head. She will now." I'm like, "Yeah, don't let your kids watch that stuff, but let your kids watch that stuff because it's awesome." Anyway.
Oh, dude, definitely.
But yeah, with Terminator 2, like that's 7-8 years after the original. Okay, so this, it's 2019. Devil's Rejects came out in 2004.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing that at the Dollar Theater with my brother and some friends when we were in high school. 2004, 5, whatever. So that's 14, 15 years. So automatically, according to my stupid dork theory, I'm like, it's going to be a piece of shit. On top of the fact that I'm like, really, dude? You're bringing him back? So I'm like, all right. But the neighbor watched it, and he's a big fan of House of 1,000 Corpses and Devil's Rejects, and he was gushing about it. I'm like, He's like, the way that they, own up to, like, all the influences and, this shot, that stuff, this, that, and the other, like, the way that Rob Zombie just went full on and just owned up to everything he loved and blah, 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 and all that stuff. I'm like, all right, you got me.
Sold.
And Danny Welty went and saw it when it had that limited run in theaters last month. And she's like, it's actually not bad. It's actually pretty good. Like, if you like the first two, you'll love this. I'm like, all right, you got me. I sat down and watched it, dude, and I enjoyed it because, like I said, he owns up to everything. He actually kind of shows a little bit of humanity with the characters.
Yeah.
Like, all the in-jokes, all the references that it has, all this stuff. I will divulge this part. In the third act, they go to Mexico.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, it doesn't go full Sam Peckinpah with it. The director who did The Wild Bunch and Straw Dogs and Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid did Ride the High Country. So like a lot of his films take place in the Southwest in Mexico. Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, which is one of the most criminally underrated movies ever, in my opinion. Fucking highly recommend.
Ooh.
1975 Warren Oates. It's got Christopherson in a fucking cameo. Very good. Anyway, so I'm like, if it just doesn't go full Sam Peckinpah, I'm like, then you're gonna lose me. It fucking did. You know,
yeah.
maybe not like in reference, but like the attitude and the whatnot that it has. I'm like, and then it brings back a couple old characters, and then it folds in a couple new ones, and there's revenge and shit like that. But the way it plays out, I'm just like, all right, you got me. And plus, like, it's actually pretty wicked funny. Like, like I said, if you get the end references and the jokes and shit that it has, like a little bit of, I get, the obvious one would be like, it's a little bit of Tarantino where it's like, if you know what the reference is and you're like,
Yeah.
But I actually recommend it. If anyone hasn't seen it or has any interest in seeing it, and if you fucking love House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, I think you'll enjoy Three from Hell. It's, like I said, it's the most fun, like, just straight, like, fun out of the three. I prefer Devil's Rejects. I think Devil's Rejects is one of the great sequels, especially in horror movies.
Yeah.
I think it's an absolutely fantastic sequel, and I think it's a great standalone. Like, honestly, if I had to pick, like, horror movie, that would probably be it, to be honest. Out of, like, the litany of horror movies that I've seen, I watched that definitely the most, besides probably the original Frankenstein.
Okay.
And I've gushed about that too in previous episodes and to people in person.
Probably last Halloween, I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah, well, when we did the Halloween segment last year, I was fucking all about Karloff in that movie. And I still think that's for my money, it's one of the top 10 greatest performances on film, is Boris Karloff in the original Frankenstein. I fucking love him in that. Because, like, his dead eyes, the whole thing where he's just, like, got his hands out and he just doesn't know what he's doing because he's a fucking infant made out of human parts.
Corpse meat.
Corpse meat in an abnormal brain.
Yep.
Which, to segue into that's another movie I haven't fucking watched this month. Is goddamn Young Frankenstein.
Dude.
Which is one of the great, man. Blazing Saddles is classic. Young Frankenstein is the best movie Mel Brooks has ever done.
Yeah.
And it's one of the great satire, and not only like satire, but like parody, send-ups, like, but it still has that love. It has that love for the classic horror movies, which is one of the top 10 greatest comedies ever.
Like,
has
seriously.
to be. Yeah. It has to be. Like, honestly, if you catch me in a good mood, I would probably vote that the greatest comedy ever. And I know that's, everyone out there is just like, I'm like, but just like, once again, I've seen it a million times. I can quote it. Fucking Marty Feldman should have won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Gene Wilder's brilliant. Madeline Kahn's brilliant. Peter Boyle as Frankenstein, brilliant. Fucking Terry Garr, brilliant. Like, fucking Cloris Leachman, brilliant. The dude who plays the cop, brilliant. Everything about that movie is fucking on point. I absolutely adore that movie.
Hell yeah.
So what you're telling me is, I put an abnormal brain and a 7-foot tall, 54-inch wide gorilla? Is that what you're telling me? Quick, give him the sedative. Fucking that's one of those ones is like, it's like Big Lebowski in a way, where, Big Lebowski's like that in a way where, like, you can quote almost every fucking line of that movie. And because every other line of that movie is gold. It's gold. Igor, can you help with the bags? Certainly. You take the blonde, I'll take the one in the toy bin. Everything about it. But there's some other ones. I think last year we watched Reanimator?
Yeah, I think so.
That was actually the first time I had seen that. Once again, I'm sure there's people out there
what? It was like 2 years ago, because Chris was still living in his old place.
Sure. Oh, wait, yep. That's right.
Yeah. No, that was the first time I saw it, too. It's like the original, because I saw, like, one of the later Reanimator movies with my brother, I think.
Yeah.
But, like, that was, like, the first time I saw the original. It's like, okay, now I can see, like, where the hype's at, because, like, the one I saw was, like, it was so fucking terrible.
It must have been one of the sequels, because the original is classic.
Yeah.
That that was another one. I know cats that are like more into like the cult horror movies, like Reanimator, the Lucio Fulci Italian giallo movies that are like super fucking gory. Brain Dead, like the old Peter Jackson zombie movies or the horror movies, stuff like that. And those were the ones that it wasn't I shied away from. I just never got around them, and I never really met people that were into them until I got older. Mm-hmm. Actually, one of the ones, it's not a horror movie. It should classify as a horror movie, but it would be more probably a suspense or thriller. And it's super, super fucked up. Is Combat Shock. You know what I'm talking about? Trauma. Probably the.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Probably
as soon as you said Trauma, I was like, okay, I get
it. It's basically like if Trauma did the Deer Hunter. But and the Vietnam vet, he comes back home. He's fucking hooked on junk. His wife has a mutant. It's like basically if Trauma did Eraserhead and Deer Hunter plus heroin. Dude, it's fuck. Dude, because like the guy, like at one part, like he's all junked out. His veins are infected. He's trying to shoot up, and he bursts like an infected bubble on his vein. It's all pus filled. And it's like while he's having like this flashback of Vietnam. Well, what's fucked up is if you watch the trailer, you would think it's just a regular Trauma movie where it's like all the action, all the violence, all Vietnam veteran. You know, you think it's like a send up of like Rambo.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of thing where it's like, but it's fucked up. Like, I'll spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
At the end, he fucking kills his wife and puts his baby in a microwave.
Jesus.
And the baby like blows up in the microwave and. Well, it has that, like, the trauma effects, you know, like, they're so outlandish, and they're so gratuitous.
Exaggerated, whatever you want to call it,
So absolutely gratuitous, but on purpose. Yeah. But in this, like, the atmosphere and everything's it's like grimy New York, late 70s, early 80s, so it's like, you know, whores and pollution and debt and drugs and exactly like real life dystopia, just garbage bullshit existence, but coupled with like this dude has severe PTSD. He's fucking a drug addict, and like at one point he's like, I think he fucking knifes a dude for junk, and it's just, dude, it's super, super fucked up. It's one of those ones like it's a very good example of movies that a movie that isn't a horror movie but is a hell of a lot scarier than a hell of a lot of horror movies. I would classify that as one, definitely, and especially like movies of that era as well. You know, late 70s, early 80s. You know, the Watergate, Vietnam syndrome kind of thing. What the hell are we doing? Where are we at as a country? That kind of vibe. You know, you could Apocalypse Now is another one. I think you could qualify that as a horror movie.
Oh yeah, no.
I think that would qualify as a horror movie, like psychologically, like what you said with. You said you hadn't seen Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, I've been meaning to. Cause it was on like a couple streaming services, but they literally just took it off. So I was like, man, it's like almost Halloween. Like, why would they take that off?
Yeah,
like, shit.
You know, those are two great examples of, you know, like psychological horror or psychological stuff is much more scary to me than
it's like I don't know, like there's a little more realism to it because like the way like psychology works is like because it doesn't. So
yeah, well, I mean, like you and stuff like that, you know, people will live with it.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like PTSD, flashbacks, shit like that, drug addiction because of it. You know, trying to escape. You know, trying to escape that. That, you know, those are great examples. Fucking Taxi Driver, I think you could qualify as that. And
Requiem for a Dream to a degree.
Yeah.
In a different light, I guess, but I consider that a horror movie.
Yeah. I mean, you could.
Yeah. It's like horrifying, so.
Well, another one, I want to say I've talked about this too, would be like, you know, like Bad Lieutenant, the original with Harvey Keitel.
Okay.
Where, you know, he's an absolute dirtbag, scheming drug addict. He's a man. He's basically a man living in hell. And he's trying to find the perpetrators of this rape that happens to a nun in the church, on the pulpit. They fucking sodomize her with a crucifix.
Ooh.
But at the same time, he's a giant pile of shit.
Yeah.
He's like scheming people out of money. He's making gambling bets that he can't pay off. all this other stuff. You know, it just depictions like that. You know, I think are very horrific, and I think stuff like that, like I said, it's scarier to me than Michael Myers or Jason or Freddy Krueger or whatever. You know, or Dracula. You know, as great and as classic as those characters are, don't get me wrong, something like a Travis Bickle or Colonel Kurtz, you know, in Apocalypse Now, that like a character like that, because like I said, you know those motherfuckers exist or have existed, and or they're still out there. You know, they call them incels now apparently, which I still think is a hilarious subgroup.
Yeah.
Which,
to say the least.
I'll tell you, I didn't want to talk about the Joker movie, the new one, because before we went on, I was
No, you don't want to give spoiler. I mean,
I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Go see it already, you jackasses.
Yeah, if you haven't,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I love you guys.
Blow him a kiss. There you go. We forgive you, Nate. But
okay.
I didn't want to talk about it, but it's a good segue. It's been charged with like glorifying incels. I don't see it. I mean,
it's a movie.
I get where people are saying that it's like, you know, this guy he can't live with himself, he can't get a date, he can't do this, he can't function in society, so his only way of doing so is acting out. I think it goes a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah.
In this movie.
And the dude's an individual, so.
Well, he's got a mental fucking illness. Like, I'm trying to shave away at some of the details just for your sake.
Fair enough.
What they do is the character has a neurological damage. He has neurological, his brain's fucked up.
Yeah.
So that, and because of that, he can't adapt to society. He's just awkward as hell to begin with. You know, like they charged Travis Bickle's character. Apparently now he's an incel. I'm like, I think it goes a little bit further than that with those characters, because to me, from what my limited knowledge of what incels are, the involuntary celibates, I roll my eyes underneath the sunglasses, are just like, they don't seem to have a mental illness or a mental impulse. They're just
kind of like awkward
fucking losers.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know what I kind of know what that's like to be a loser and socially awkward, but I didn't fucking blame anyone. It was just who I am.
Yeah, it's like, you know, after you reach a certain age, you just kind of accept it. I mean, it's kind of weird when you're a teenager, but yeah.
Fucking adapt and overcome. Rub one out. Go buy a suit. Take care of yourself. Personal hygiene. Fucking wear deodorant. Whatever.
Get a haircut.
You know, try to do something so that it'll help change how you feel about yourself. But the thing with, like, say, Arthur Fleck, which is Joaquin's character's name in the Joker movie, he's literally fucked in the head and he can't do anything about it. And the services that he has, the small amount of social services, end up getting taken away. His whole world kind of crumbles piece by piece because of society or people lying to him or people who have hurt him in the past, stuff like that. So it's very Taxi Driver-ish in that regard. Very, and then combines with the whole King comedy references, which is another Scorsese film, the film that he did after Raging Bull, where, hence why De Niro's cast as the game show host.
Okay.
So, and then you come to find out they're kind of not in on the gig, but they're part of it.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to like point their finger and laugh at him.
Yeah.
And so he ends up acting out, and then I'll try to stop right there. And there's other things too where it basically fucks with his head. You know, he has neurological damage. He can't really control his impulses. But the whole incel thing, I don't see that.
Yeah.
Like, these are damaged, like the Arthur Fleck, Rupert Pupkin, who's De Niro's character in King Comedy, and Travis Bickle, you know, for instance, because those are the main three that are referenced in the Joker movie. Arthur being the main character. They're mentally impaired. Like, Rupert Pupkin was probably the closest one to an incel because he just doesn't get it. He's a narcissist and he's a little creep who's trying to track down Jerry Langford, who's Jerry Lewis's character, to get on a show, but he just doesn't understand the word no. He keeps coming back. He keeps stalks Jerry. He goes to his country club home and shows up there and like, hey, I thought we had a deal, kind of thing. And they end up kidnapping him for him to get a spot on a show. By the way, King Comedy is absolutely fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It was trash when it came out in '82, and I hope any critics that are still alive who wrote those negative reviews are eating those words, because King Comedy is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, worms are eating them in their graves right now.
Or if they're still alive, they're eating the paper. But even Scorsese has said that De Niro's performance in King Comedy is his personal favorite that he's given in his films. Think about that for a second.
Yeah, no, that's got to account for something.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
When you have Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, King Comedy, fucking the Cape Fear remake, Goodfellas, Casino, now The Irishman, whatever.
List goes on.
New York. But to say that's the favorite. Anyway, I would say he's the closest to like an incel. Whereas Arthur Fleck and Travis Bickle, they're fucking psychologically damaged people. And they just can't adapt to society. And it's not like a refusal to adapt, it's the fact that it's not like society's leaving them behind. Society. No. Society is leaving them behind because they're out on the drift. But I don't see that charge as sticking, and I think I've been half tempted because the Joker movie had been out, because I saw it I saw it this past Sunday.
Okay.
So it had been out for almost a month, 3 weeks, 3 weeks ish. And I kind of skimmed online, like some of the news sites or Facebook that I look at. They have their op-eds about the movie, and their reviews about the movie, and their take on the movie, which is that writer's take on the movie, which is subjective. You see where I'm going.
Yeah.
So I just avoided them. I saw the headlines of the article, but I avoided them altogether. I didn't read any of them. So I was halfway tempted to go back and read them after I saw the movie, but now I'm like, I'm just gonna disagree or think it's a poorly written article and stop reading it halfway through. And I'm not saying that there has not been a decent write-up about the movie, but I think this whole idea of everyone's a critic, we got to move past that. It has to.
Yeah.
But I'm guilty of it.
Everyone's their own critic.
I'm fucking guilty. So, I'm fucking guilty of it. I'm the same way. If you want to charge me as a hypocrite, then I guess I'm fucking guilty of that in this regard.
You're a hippie, but you're not a critic.
I don't. Fuck the fuck does that even mean?
I don't know. It's phonetic.
Yeah, and prophetic. But I will say, I did like it. I did like the Joker movie. I thought Joaquin was pretty phenomenal. I think his characterization of that origin story, and once again, they said to hell with all the DC comics and basically made their own story, taken a lot from Taxi Driver and King Comedy.
Yeah.
So if you're familiar with those films, anyone out there watching, listening, that's kind of what to expect, especially those two movies. I thought the movie did a very good job of holding it together. I was pleasantly surprised that the director of the fucking Hangover did a very good job.
Yeah, I always liked his visual style. I felt like he could do a lot with that. I mean, he's kind of using it in a ridiculous way, but
I don't think
he still knew his way around that sort of shit.
He didn't get how do I put this? He didn't get in the way of the material. I felt.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought he did a good job of pacing. I think the story's pretty well rounded. There's a few jabs that it takes, I think.
Okay.
At the Batman origin story.
Mm-hmm.
I giggled.
Yeah. Because the Disaster was the Killing Joke animated movie. I mean,
I like that.
If you read the comic, you wouldn't like it as much, I think. I've picked and pieced through the comic. My friend gave it to me on a digital format. Yeah.
I'm always a sucker for Mark Hamill as a Joker, though. So.
I mean, yeah, he did a good job, but like just like all the extra weird shit that they added for like shits and giggles, I guess.
Well, and once again, I'm not very familiar with any of the comics, so anytime like a Batman, Joker, whatever comes out, I'm just taking it as face value.
Fair enough.
So that's my mark against me, not because I have said a million times I didn't grow up reading comic books. I grew up reading comic strips. I know a hell of a lot more about Garfield and Beetle Bailey than I do fucking Batman.
I got a decent amount of both. Like I was a big Far Side.
Oh, Far Side! Far Side was the shit, dude. Yeah. We have the collection, like all of the Far Side.
Dude,
books.
I had so many Far Side books as a kid.
Dude, Gary Larson. I keep forgetting about that motherfucker. I keep forgetting Gary Larson plays such
my sense of humor is totally based around that.
I was just gonna like Gary Larson. I
like Gary Larson meets Mitch Hedberg is me.
Yeah, pretty much. I keep forgetting how much of an impact Gary Larson and those Far Side books had, but let's get to that in a second. I want to finish up this bit about Joker.
Okay.
Because I posted on my personal feed, and I'll say this:
Joaquin Phoenix is a better Joker than
Joaquin becoming the Joker.
Yeah.
Better than Heath Ledger as the Joker. Yeah, I said it. I fucking said it.
Said it on air. That's why we're doing it on air.
Don't get me wrong. Heath Ledger as the Joker, very good. Very good. One of the few redeeming qualities about The Dark Knight, because I don't feel that movie has as much replay value as a lot of people give it credit.
I've only seen it a handful of times, and I mean, I can see myself watching it more than like once a year, I guess. So.
Yeah, but I thought Heath Ledger did a good job. I also tend to believe that him dying added credibility to the role.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not knocking him for it, but I think the societal.
That's how The Crow became so well known.
Oh, that's a perfect fucking example.
Yeah,
that's a perfect example. Yes, because The Crow as a movie itself, but it's not bad. Mm-hmm. But when you find out and realize that Brandon Lee died making that, you're like,
it's like, damn.
Oh wow, okay, this is now the subtext of the material becomes a little heavier.
And like the way he died, that was shit.
Fucking dumb.
Got shot by a live round because they used a live round instead of a fucking blank.
Because the prop guy didn't check it.
Yeah.
He didn't check the gun.
Shit.
like literal freak accident. I mean, same way his dad died, a freak accident in a way. Because the story about Bruce Lee was that, if you want to believe the conspiracy theories, the Chinese government had him offed.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible.
Apparently, the guy that taught Ip Man killed him. Gave him the 1-2 punch to the heart.
Yeah.
Kill Bill style. But then there's the story. It was an audio clip of Chuck Norris, because Chuck Norris was a student of Bruce Lee's, and also Bruce Lee killed him.
Yep. And Jackie Chan too.
And Jackie Chan, yes, killed them both on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Same way, broke their necks. Anyway, it was like from the early mid '80s, I think. Chuck Norris is at some convention or whatever, talking about it was like some commemorative thing with Bruce Lee, like his birth or his death or whatever. And he was talking about it and kind of clearing things up, because enough time had passed that they can, talk about it and whatnot. And according to Chuck Norris, one of the reasons, the biggest reason that Bruce Lee had an aneurysm and died from it was he was taking multiple prescriptions. And the prescriptions, he was seeing multiple doctors who were prescribing him multiple drugs. And they
chemical
cocktail mix and match and popped his blood vessel in his brain.
Damn.
And that's what did it. So that's according to Chuck Norris. So
I don't think he would lie about that sort of shit.
Because I guess Bruce Lee was taking medication, like pain medication for his back, He was taking medication for a couple other things.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that shit's like blood thinner, so I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like a mixture of like blood thinners and like blood thickeners. Well, yeah, they'll fuck with, your blood.
yeah, pretty much.
To say the least.
But that's the story about that, is that it was basically a chemical cocktail of prescriptions, and that's what did him in. Which, oddly enough, that's how Heath Ledger got done in, was taking 85 fucking prescriptions and for anxiety and depression and this, that, and the other.
What was it? Wayne Static, too?
Really?
I think so.
Wow.
Because I think he was like weaning off he used to do like pills a lot, but then he was like weaning off them, and then I think it was just like him taking like medication, and he accidentally took it with like alcohol, and from him being already like damaged as fuck, he just kind of like
dropped.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Just sad.
Fuck. Damn. That's like the story heard about Steve Adler, the original drummer for Guns N' Roses. Dude gave himself a stroke by doing so much blow and heroin.
Jesus. Yeah, speedballs will do that to you, man.
Because he tried to kill himself.
Yeah.
He literally tried to kill himself, and ended up he had a fucking massive stroke, and that's why he talks out of the corner of his mouth for the last 25 years.
Shit, son.
Kind of thing. Or like the story that I heard about Richard Pryor, like the whole bed burning incident where he was freebasing and his fucking bed blew up on him.
Oh, damn.
And he caught fire and was in the hospital for several weeks, with third-degree burns.
Fuck.
I saw something about him where people were talking about it, and they're like, yeah, that wasn't an accident. He was trying to fucking kill himself.
Shit.
He was trying to fucking OD smoking crack, and fucking, they said something effective like, yeah, him burning his bed up and catching fire actually saved his life.
Huh.
Because he was, according to the story, he was streaking down, I think it was Sunset or some shit, butt naked, on fire, and that's where they came and put him out and rescued his ass and took him to the hospital and shit. Like, hey?
Hey, he could have easily just like fallen asleep in a puddle of his own puke, and that about it.
Yeah, like so many other rock stars.
Yeah.
But they're just people in general.
Yep.
John Belushi. But
rest in peace.
But anyway, altogether, I thought Joker's pretty well done.
Hell yeah.
As a movie, I don't think it's better than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I still need to see that one. God,
you still haven't seen it?
Yeah. I'm so bad at keeping up on movies.
What I'm excited for is Irishman's coming out.
Yeah.
What I'm not so excited about is it's being released in theaters on November 1st.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even coming around here until the 22nd or 23rd. Like Bloomington or Bloomfield in Michigan.
Are they doing like a film tour?
What they're doing is, according to my research, is they're doing limited release at specific locations. I don't know. It's a deal that Netflix has with a certain theater chain. Because what I think they're doing is trying to completely avoid AMC theaters, which is Chinese owned, I believe.
Yeah, and that's like unless you're like Cinemarks and shit like that.
Yeah, or Franklin Park or whatever has that. But the deal was they weren't even going to release it in theaters to begin with. They were just going to put it on Netflix.
Yeah.
But Scorsese was like, I want it shown in theaters. It has to be shown in theaters. That's all my films have been shown in theaters, even on a limited release. Because his last film, Silence, which I fucking haven't seen, was a limited release because it's an art house film, which art house cinemas are dying, and that was one of the beefs that he's had with the whole Marvel thing as of late. It wasn't necessarily criticizing Marvel movies; it's the production and the distribution of Marvel movies. Whereas, the theater chains, once a Marvel movie comes out, that's all they're fucking showing. And so, like, the smaller films, the art house, because there's no fucking art house cinemas anymore. They're there, but you got to drive an hour or two out of your way to even go to one. Mm-hmm. Thank goodness Ann Arbor's close. They have those. But across the country, there used to be a litany of them back in the day.
Okay.
But since the chains started taking over, those got smaller and smaller and kept getting shut out. So his whole thing was not necessarily about Marvel movies. It's about the production and distribution. Whereas Marvel, as far as the production goes, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring people in. We're going to have them do this. And then we're going to have our product. And then we're going to distribute it to fucking 85,000 theaters across the world. And that was one of his gripes about it was, smaller films are getting harder and harder to see in theater.
Yeah.
And if you don't hear about it, it's got to be through word of mouth. And even if it's on Netflix, if you don't know about it, you're not going to watch it.
Yeah.
Or have any interest
And the way limited releases work, like there's a short amount of time you get to go and see it.
Yeah.
So, you have like a certain amount of time to hear about it, and if you do or you don't, then you're probably going to miss it.
Yeah.
Regardless, which kind of sucks.
And so with The Irishman it originally was not going to be, Netflix was going back and forth about whether or not to even put it in theaters or just have it on streaming. But I guess he went and vouched for it and said, let's put it in theaters, have a run. So what they did, I guess, is put it in limited viewing or limited showings, non-AMC ran theaters. If anyone out there wants to correct me on that, feel free. And then at the end of the month on Thanksgiving, which is the 27th, I believe, that's when it's going to start streaming. But it's they have a whole website set up for it to show where what theaters and what cities it's going to be in. And it's like, the big markets like New York, LA, markets like that. Like just it's kind of like peppered throughout the country. There's a few. Toronto, I know, is one of them. But I was surprised because they're not showing it in Detroit or Ann Arbor. It's the closest one is Bloomfield, I believe, in Michigan.
Huh. Okay.
But it's like 3 or 4 days before it starts streaming is when that theater is going to show it. So I'm like, I want to see it in theater.
Yeah.
I'll sit there for 3.5 hours. I don't give a fuck. Like, I fucking want to see it. It's my Avengers. Mm-hmm. Like, those 5 I've always wanted to see in a movie together and working, blah, blah, blah. I've said it a million times on this fucking podcast. Anyone who's even remotely listened to me blabber about it in the last fucking 3 months knows I have a giant boner that's poking through the screen.
Can you see it?
Yeah, no, it's right in your eye right now. It's my boner is right here as you're watching this. But so they're gonna do that. It's gonna go on Netflix at the end of the month next month. So I'm like, fuck. Want to see it in theater, but there's not even really a point to, because it's a 3.5 hour movie. It's gonna be at least a 45-hour drive, to the theater and back. So that's like 5-6 hours.
It's gonna be like $12 for tickets on top of
I'll
that.
pay that. I don't give a damn. I don't care how much it costs. I'll pay $20 to go see it in theater. What I'm cheesed about is that it's so close to the streaming date, to where it's like there's even no point to go see it in the theater. I might as well just stay at home and fucking stream it, and so I can pause it and take a piss if I want to grab a beer or whatever, get something to eat, whatever. But anyway, I'm wicked excited for that. That's gonna be the one where we were talking the other night about like the whole Oscar race. That we're going into the award season, and the awards movies are coming out and blah blah blah. So, but those are the 3 movies I've been wicked excited to see all year. I've seen the first 2, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and the Joker movie. Both have been on par, to say the very least. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it blew away any expectation I had, flipped it on its ass. Joker, I didn't really have like an expectation, but I was very curious because of the direction that it was going, and basically telling DC to piss off and kind of creating like a completely new, different sort of thing. And I don't even think that the DC logo showed up in the opening credits.
No,
when I saw it.
I don't think it does.
It was great, which was even fantastic. But then now The Irishman's coming out, and that's another one I've been staying away from the reviews. Everyone's like, the critics are just lauding it, and it's amazing, it's this, that, and the other, and people have come out and they're like, it's fucking great. So I'm just like, whatever.
Yep.
I'll wait till I see it.
Just enjoy it whenever you find the time to enjoy it.
Yeah, but yeah. So where are we at?
We're just over an hour.
We're just over an hour?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we've had a good time, I think.
Well, on that note, I think, it helped, because when we started doing it, the screen was up, and I was looking at myself, and I started getting all,
Yeah.
I'm looking at
No,
myself.
no, you
I'm the
handle
dude
that very
playing
well.
a dude disguised as another dude,
Yes.
But we don't have any new music for this one, so I think we'll just let this one ride out. Probably
Play the music inside of your head.
yeah, maybe
Use your imagination.
or maybe just put the atomic bomb explosion at the end of it. Whatever, something else.
I'll find something.
We'll find something.
I'll put a word out on Reddit, like, hey, who has some free music they want to put on a podcast or some shit.
Play a little ditty on your guitar or something.
Yeah. We'll figure something out.
But in the meantime, folks, thanks again. This is our actual first webcam, audio visual episode. You get to actually look at us, just chit chat and
We're
bullshit.
like babies in the infancy of our video declaration of
Well, and it's
dominance.
also it's also like I had a couple people ask me why we haven't done any video, and I'm like, I'm still trying to get used to still getting a hang on like talking into a microphone.
Yeah.
And now that we're doing that, been doing that, might as well get some video.
That was kind of like part of the point of like getting like a better rig is like so I can actually like do video editing and shit.
Yeah.
And now I got the perfect rig to do video editing and shit, which
Nice.
is where it lines up quite nicely.
Very nice. But till next time, folks. Ian Hubbard, Nate Fitch. Enjoy your Halloween holiday. Spook the devil, raise the spirits, eat candy, watch movies,
do
have
all
a good
the spooky
time,
things.
dress up, get crazy, have a good time, be safe. And until next time, we shall catch you. Also, one more thing.
Yeah.
Twitter, Moon Tower Podcast. SoundCloud, European Ian. Instagram, European Ian. Facebook, Moon Tower Podcast. We're on Stitcher, we're on iTunes, we're on Spotify. Hit us up, comment on the link below when this posts. Thanks for sticking with us, folks. We'll be back next week.
Vote for Hillary.
Cheers.